Hello all, welcome to the 10th to last episode of the Cobra Kai commentary. I can't believe it's nearly done. And so now we're going to head up to the first episode of the Zakataka, which will be rather exciting. Like the previous ones, this season 6 part 2 is all recorded before the final 5 episodes, so this is a version of me recording without knowing what the final 5 episodes will play up, or how it will play through. Alright, so just getting it up. Yep, there you go. And I think what I will do to help with the time, because I'm a bit short, once again, if we go on to settings and go on to 1.5, and then we can make a start and we can watch it with me and see how it goes about. So let's just make a start in 3, 2, 1, go. So the last cliffhanger was very interesting, and there was one leak scene before. Like a teaser of a scene, before the teaser was officially out. Alright, so we've finally made it to this tournament, and you can always see the scale and the colours of the teams. It looks very cool. And he's definitely the lead of it. And they're putting all the keys on, and Daniel's just still worried. I feel like the flashback wasn't quite needed there, but I guess a reminder doesn't hurt. So it's a point system, so and it's a bit like Mario Kart, where depending on wins and losses, you get points over time. Alright, so he's just setting up more for what else can be done in the meantime, so that's useful information. And not to mention Robbie and Sam there wondering about Tori. It's still a bit of a shock to them. And even Tori at the moment, she just seems to think being with Chris is what's doing her well at the moment, but I suppose we'll get more context. And again, now they're arguing about it. So this is continuing their last exchange, but except with Tori now joining Chris, it does complicate things. 1 out of 16. Oh wow. And they're just falling out again, but for different reasons. There's like an acknowledgement later about they're always going to fall out, but at least the show tries to vary it. And Dimitri and Hawk aren't on the best terms. And Con's having a bit of fun with them already. And Hawk's trying to step up. Yeah, good for him. And Robbie's going to go after her, and I think that's what Quan picks up on. Yep, a bit of a titter about it. But yeah, titter is a laugh, by the way. Like a light laugh. Oh yeah, I like this moment. Because Amanda and all the audience knows that the two senseis are sharing a bedroom. Or a room, rather. Yeah, it's just like it reminds me of the cruise ship where any item you take, you do get charged for it, except the biscuits. Organ's been honest, she's not too keen on okay. Because yeah, Greece is like, please stop. Kim isn't, because considering what they were like with one another in season 5. I'm gonna go back to the scene actually, I think. And Greece tries to reassure her that's like a theme again in this more part of the season. Oh, so Johnny knew about that as well. I think it's just trying to question Daniel's morals. Because, yeah, like Johnny just seems to be keen on taking down Kreese once again. And he's explained his motive. Yeah, he's just trying to be honourable. And then, then he does have Johnny who's oh yeah, them two are like, oh no, they're not getting on. So yeah, Vix has a bit of a shot. Oh, and these are it's all the captains. Okay, no wonder the group was small. And McGulla's continuing to not be too keen on Robbie being a captain. Yeah, so they're just all figuring out for what is yet to come. Oh, she's Zara's already figured those two out, and yeah, even Axel. That's like the first snippet of him, and yeah, he is a bit emotionally stunted, which we can infer later on. And this is about the sponsoring. Oh, but also, yeah, Daniel's asking about yeah, Daniel's just trying to find some mysteries. Or more sponsors, rather, and he does get some. That's... So at least we get like some information on how the sponsoring works. And Johnny's already trying to make a start because he's definitely using the Sakataka as a way to like really boost his job. Oh yeah, like Chris is nearly trying to win him over with this kind of tool. Oh, he's a bit stuck. I think he's going to be like, let me just hold you right there. Oh my god, what's that? A whale shark? That is... Wow, what is this aquarium? I should go there. Yeah, so Yeah, so it's just trying to figure out, like, look, yeah, so yeah, she's almost like reluctant, but it's but yeah, I think Tori just thought it was like the best like decision for her, considering how she was like kind of pushed out, when her attempt to be a captain, was taken away from, the practice fight. Oh, I know the fight to and the captain. Kwan's already like almost like the popular one, yeah, the most popular one, yeah, trying to get everyone to laugh. Yeah, he's a rather interesting bloke. And so this is giving getting some idea um for what information to use to find more answers, but also the blood as well. That does hint to some ideas as well. Yep. So Dole tries to drop, so he's seems to be in the clear. So at least that's clarified, or at least attempted to. And Daniel's already trying to defeat the situation. And Daniel was already getting a bit heated up. But yeah, that's chosen. He's just managed to. Yeah, I wondered when he got drunk. Um, he's already making a bit of a show of himself. I do like the idea of this competition, whoever has the highest kick, because as I do martial arts, I can probably go about head level. Oh, that's got to him, and he's trying to pick him up as well. Yes, yeah, they're definitely like on the same wavelength now. Like a lot of their own problems is aside. Well, some of them. Not to mention, like small spoiler, I suppose. Yeah, Quan still is the head of this challenge, and Robbie ends up losing the room, and that kind of goes to show where, because of the mindset he's in, he's definitely not on top of his game. Yeah, because a lot of people, including me, kind of think as Miguel as probably like the better fighter, but I think during the season, I feel like Robbie is. Considering what he's able to achieve later on, but I think that's still a debate. I'll probably go back to that. And yeah, it's nice for them to chat because they spend a good amount of time with each other in season 5. So yeah, and they do like try and be nice and support each other, because I thought they were going to be really, like nasty with one another, but just as like quite sorry to be in this position. Yeah, that's really nice of Sam to offer that. Yeah, so it comes to a point where whenever they fight each other, it's without that tension of the rivalry. It would it would just be simply a manner of winning. Yeah, so they're still not getting along. But yeah, not to mention, Dimitri's talked about physics before in that is actually quite impressive. Yeah, that was almost like a spinning crescent kick, but he must have, yeah, like a real super jump. What's it called? Does Oh, wow, that was like 3 spins. Oh my gosh! So he's already still quite formidable. And then Guan actually does that, because I thought they would like nick a couple of things in that, but maybe they didn't get a chance to unpack. And the bags are still intact. I bet that's what some people like on the cruise, where they're like missing buffet stuff. Oh yeah, he went over there. Hang on, did the bloke at the door say the wrong name? Because did um it didn't Chosen like misheard out of. Yeah, not gonna lie, like whilst Chosen is a bit let's say his emotions do get the better of him, although I would have liked that to be a bit more serious, because I know that he's getting triggered over flowers, but I feel like you could do something a bit darker with that instead of making it comedic. But not to mention, are we going to see Kamiko? Did the guy actually say he was with her? Why did Chosen even go for that house? Also, already knowing about being approached, already puts Robbie on the spot. Definitely not seeing him as captain material at all. Because even at this point, I kind of in doubt about it, but he does definitely earn that position later on. Yeah. And this is all jet lag. I really like this track as well. It's the Thompson Twins. Yeah, they all definitely need a good amount of sleep. Before he likes to listen to it. Oh no, he's just trying to why is he on the floor? Oh, he's still trying to like. He's thinking of it whilst he's resting. Yeah, sorry, I'm chosen thinking of Kamiko, because it was just saying the same as name then. I remember I was like, what is he going to be up to? Yeah, she has her own room, doesn't she? Yeah, so it's putting that kind of mindset up, sorry. Just focus on the sport and pause in this relationship, which it's almost like the right thing to do, but you can also see from Robbie's perspective that they could have at least keep it together and continue the sport, but I think that could have been trickier, and yeah, he's not taking it well at all. Oh my gosh, I recognise those puzzle mats. They were in one of my schools. I forgot which one. Some of you more some may have got more jet lag than others. Oh, protect the captains. Okay. Oh, okay. Group A is. I wondered if they'd literally just snapped them in now, if they've, as in like a change of screen suddenly, if they've only just noticed that. Unless I'm wrong. Um, oh, Tori's just mentioned the protect the egg method. Oh, and so are they. And now they're kind of getting distracted. Yeah, and that's kind of part of Kim's role, to really get Tori into a certain state of mind. Oh, she's already going already. Yeah, we don't really see the other team in action, but I think they probably would have mixed teams, but except they're just very keen on fighting one another. And they're doing okay, but they do later falter. We do get some signs. Alright, so yeah, we've got some glimmer of hope. Now Devon's down. Oh! Oh yeah, so once you're down, you're off. Oh yeah, that was a lot of good parrying then. So other opponents are down. It's almost still 50-50. Oh, look at him go. Yeah, Con's definitely tricky. From what we saw of in, when we last saw him. So you literally have to be down to lose. So that explains why the hits don't work. Too easy. Oh, but yeah, here's the other thing. Robbie constantly gets distracted about Tori, which, considering what they're like now, it's we didn't see either of the other teams at all, which definitely needed a fix on the others. But now Cobra Kai is about to be really surprised. Oh, they're not even protecting the captain, so that already makes a question of what's going to happen. Yeah, and Tori and Zara had a tiny interaction, but Tori's already like, no, I'm going to go and get her. What's interesting is that they at first here, I thought they had like more of a take down immediate kind of approach, but it's almost tempted to say that they're going to be the most difficult opponents, probably top of their game, because both of them are nearly untouchable. Well, definitely Axel anyway. But let's face it, he's taller than the others. And it's him. So that already creates a little bit of tension. And also, when I first saw this, I thought it would either add more layers to the Sekai Kai, and it also could go back to what. Oh, hang on. Oh yeah, it's just done a tribute for Chad. Let's just do the same with the others, because he was really good in the original film, as far as I can remember. Yeah, very good. Just everyone was fantastic. But yeah, as I was saying, sorry. But yeah, just the extra focus of the Iron Dragons team, that definitely pays off later on. But when because it still adds more layers to the Sekai Kai, not to mention the showrunners did say that it's not just about going against Cobra Kai anymore. It's just literally fighting the whole world, and yeah, like the goal is just a lot bigger and more intense. I'm going to rewatch a couple of scenes as I do this to find out any more details I missed. But yeah, this is definitely a decent start. You have the students not really getting on. Miguel's already not keen on Robbie being captain, and it's kind of the same with everyone else. And Dimitri and Pork aren't great, and Tori is very sorry about the position she's in, and that really bothers Robbie. Just affecting his performance. And Johnny and Daniel aren't on great terms either, but we definitely see that more on later on. Later on, rather. And yeah, Tori just said, so she can be the last one fighting because she definitely wants, to be a champion of some sort, to make her mother proud. And yeah, because I feel because I bet Tori would have a bit more of that kind of chance by being increased if she did felt like she was held back by the others. Oh, even Daniel just asked Johnny about how he heard about the auction. Yeah, okay. But yeah, then we do get like a couple of world building hints, I suppose. Definitely seeing how the sponsors work, which we don't really see again for the rest of the season, but at least we have some idea. It definitely adds a bit more to to Johnny's motivation to get older sponsors and to make his role as a sensei more profitable. And it does seem more funny to find out he's a sensei when we thought he was a sponsor. That unless you haven't watched the sneak peek up on Netflix, it was a bit of a surprise there. And he's already like quite tense at a point where you would be very hesitant to fight him, and that later pays off. And so far, Quan is pretty much like the one in Cobra Kai to get the screen time, like very representative of the team, because the former best student in Cobra Kai from the previous 5 episodes, the one who lost his badge, he gets like a really decent amount of screen time, but definitely not as much as Quan. And of course, Johnny Tori just has her own role. But interesting enough, in the iDragons team, Axel and Zara act as the forefront from there. Although, Axel's like a representation of what the result of being taught that kind of karate, or basic, probably like any type of martial art, really. And Zara also acts as an influencer, which is definitely an interesting angle to explore. Someone into karate. I've never had that before, so yeah, if anything, she probably reminds me of the character Kim in EastEnders. The Kimfluencer, which is very amusing from time to time. But I think it's a bit more explanation of that. But I think even Zara also acts as like an extension of how efficient the iDragons are student-wise. And Grease has the knife with him, and he seems to like to use it as a way to get hold of sponsors. So that seems to be one strong reason why he seems to keep the knife on his person. But he does put the blade in his locker, so he's definitely only allowed it from time to time. And Jason's drunk after. Let me just go back to that flashback actually, with the Kamiko. Let's have a look. But also Jason embarrassing his own team, or I think that already lowers Miyogi's reputation. Oh, okay. So that's the name of the guy. Sorry, I thought Oh, okay, so she must have been there, and Josie must have found out where she lived. Because if that was like her official address, oh yeah, because they have kept in touch, from season 3, where she's found someone. But not to mention where she didn't answer, Chosen's voicemail in the previous season. So okay, yeah, who knows if we're going to see Kamiko again? If she's moved on, or if you'll see her briefly, who knows? But I feel like the last season would have to do an awful lot, because there's some character endings which we can kind of predict, like Mike and Stingray. I can kind of see their stories ending, and I would also be very interested to see what's her face, the leading girl in the fourth Karate Kid. I would really like to see her to really complete that set. If she doesn't appear in the end, then fine. But yeah, I just felt like I said, I felt it would feel more like a complete package, because as of recording, I did find out about what's it? Oh yeah, the new Karate Kid film that combines both the original and the reboot, which is a really cool idea. So at least we get that, to make the reboots have more of a role. Yeah, I think that's really cool. Um, oh okay, I've just got a message. Never mind. Yeah, so we just got like a lot of introductory bits and bobs. Definitely a lot of attention with Miyagi losing, and Dragon's team as well. So yeah, it's a rather have a solid start. Yeah, I think that's all I can say for this one. Yeah, it's just like a pretty good start episode. What I've noticed is that I've ranked these episodes recently, by the way, and as a preparation for a episode ranking video, which I'll definitely complete once the whole show is done. But a lot of season 6 is that I can't really say stretched out because that's like a negative thing, but there's like it does focus on one moment quite extensively from time to time, especially because in the later parts of part 1 and then part 2, there's like more tension, and it gets a bit more fast moving after the setup. It's a different approach that like the others have had set up too, but at least do a bit quicker. But this one does seem to take its time a bit more, which yeah, I think quite like, and it is definitely sticking to what will pay off later on. So if anything, we don't really hear about the sponsor stuff, but well, I think that we'll get back to. And Kamiko we don't hear of as far as I know. So yeah, I think that's all I can say. Yeah, just a very decent and simple first step. So yeah, I'll end it right there. I'll see you in the next one. Hello all. I'm sorry, a bit of a delayed beginning. Alright, so for this one, in the speed settings, I'm going to go for 1.25 this time, because I feel like it's going a tad too quick. But yeah, last time I did generally was losing time, but yeah, that's not the case today. So anyway, this is season 6, episode 7. So yeah, I think might as well get into it. So we'll go in 3, 2, 1, go. Yeah, Dog in the Fight is the name of the episode. That's gives you like some kind of idea for what's going to happen, because this episode partially takes place outside of the tournament, which yeah, it just helps add more things going on, because you would think it's just tournament only, but no, it's just like a whole new setting to explore. And you see all the rivals doing well. Tori and... No, don't get distracted! But yeah, the rivals, you could say, are doing extremely well. Even some bow fighting, yeah, because I thought there's going to be a lot more activities in this tournament. There's like a variety. I thought there's the all very good and Johnny are clashing. They're almost just saying opposites. But yeah, with them not getting on again, and means Chris was like, what on earth are they up to? Oh, they're definitely not doing well. Oh no. Okay, yeah, he's managed to pick up. That's good. Oh no. Oh, I wonder what got into for. Oh, she's down. Oh no. Yeah, Miguel's getting frustrated as well. So yeah, that was. But as I was saying, yeah, like I suppose they're both fighting. I thought it was going to be like, for instance, I thought it was going to be like a moment of an obstacle course as you fight. And what we do have the platform challenge later on. It's but yeah, a lot of it is just some of the fighting tournament which you do get, but with a lot of twist in them. Yeah, not as much as you used to with weapons, but you know, like I said, still varies. It's still massive in scale, and it definitely stands out compared to season 1's and season 4's tournament. So that's probably going to provide on, you know, like some reassurance for them. Like, sure they're losing, but they still have some kind of a chance. Also, they're now like clashing about Chosen's mental state as well. Fair enough. Yes, so quite a lot of different perspectives. Um, oh, that is okay. I'm just gonna say it straight away. Spoilers. So pause it right now. Yeah, this is definitely it's Terry's doing. You know, he does send a folder later on in this second part. And then we do see Johnny. You see what he's like with the students on his own. It would have been interesting to see how Daniel was like with students on, you know, on his own. But I reckon it probably would be similar because, you know, it is just striking a balance between the both methods. You know, it just goes to show that they can't really do one without the other. Sorry. Oh, sorry. I haven't breathed up my nose for ages. Anyway, so they're a bit worried about them losing, but now we get Zara's first time of, obviously, her first instance of being an influencer. The actress herself is actually a martial arts expert, so yeah, she's definitely experienced in that department. Also, Karate Queen Zara, that is what I know. And this looks like it's Instagram. Yeah, I recognise the arrow. Yeah, she may be sassy, but she, you know, yeah, she's, you know, like, it's kind of amusing. So yeah, she's not made into being unlikable. Yeah, she, if anything, she's a pretty cool addition to this whole show. uh, well, it's nice to get complimented, but yeah, he's just really worried because yeah, Robbie not being in his A game is almost like the main factor of them nearly losing. Yeah, also for Hawk to go into like the whole MRT thing like straight away, you know, just not getting over that. What did he put in his mouth? Is that Dimitri admitting it? then off he goes. Yeah, doesn't feel like arguing. Yeah, because yeah, this is coming because yeah, Daniel does oh, how about this theory? Because yeah, this is existing information definitely told by the heads of the tournament. Um, but yeah, Terry isn't with Chris or Kim, so was it like another mole that heard that information and then took the chance to try and prison Daniel that way? I don't know, because it's almost like trying to mislead us, the audience, into thinking it was like Grease is doing because he was around during that conversation, or Kim was. Was it another associate of Silver? Oh gosh. So I'm either missing information or there's like a big jump. Now the taxi has his money, he's gonna leave shortly. But yeah, this is already giving us like hints that this isn't going to be the safest place, because we later see a kid who trying to sell something while the kid is out of that on the streets, and then yeah, and it seems to be a good hiding spot for some of Silver's goons as well. Also, they seem to be classing about other countries and that. Yeah, but unlike other people that Johnny has spoke to, like at least Johnny almost like gets the upper hand every time. But Wolf hasn't got like budged once. Yeah, he's like that confident and that sinister and that tends to be around. It looks like the kid has like loads of items. Why not show the whole lot to what to give Daniel a choice for what to sell instead of just that, unless the kid wanted that item out of the way. Yeah, I think that's the closest to convenience we'd have in that episode, but well, already know it's a dodgy area, so it's possible at least. Now Daniel's down, because you would think that the sensei he was going to try and meet attacks Daniel at first, only to then provide the information, but no, that's not the case. It becomes a little bit harder. Gosh. I felt like the doors should have been like closed for private, training method, more private training like that. But not to mention, what Axel just went through there. He's definitely been trained to be as strong as possible. And not to mention, Sensei Wolf, we later see that he used to be a sensei, but he kind of become a cage fighter. But he's like extra, rough against the students, and yeah, probably more physical compared to like Chris and Terry, because we never see them like that. I think the worst is probably like Tori trying to, like hit the rock, but at least the senseis aren't you know practically hurting her. It's just Tori being told to interact with an object. So yeah, or even that's like a bit of a tense line. Don't let me down. That's not quite the right words. Yeah, it just goes to show that Johnny isn't. because there would have been a time when Johnny can manage their own students, but considering another dojo getting involved, he's just like missing that balance. Because he definitely needs so. We see that example in season 4, when he was able to defend himself properly against Silver, and Devon's already lost. And you almost get the impression that Devon's like the weakest out of the 6, which also explains why Kenny, replaced her. Which I'm surprised that's allowed. But at least, I can see that will be more possible compared to swapping the captains. I feel like you have to definitely stick with your captains. Because Tori and Kenny, Kenny and Devon being swapped that easily isn't really discussed. Yeah, so he's probably locked up. And the way they say no mistake, it definitely hints at some kind of scheme happening. Because we also get he just managed to get him. But yeah, like something at it. Oh yeah, as I was saying, so there was like one more hint of, possibly the Daniel meeting the sensei, but it turns out to be yet another goon. Also, fun fact, you read the way Miguel was like tied just like held from behind. I wouldn't know how to counter that because in Krav Maga, for instance, she like tapped the knuckles, making the hands grip less, and then that's where he can perform that way. But Miguel definitely has his own way of countering that attack, which we see in season 1 actually. So the point system is really still not looking good. Because I think the Iron Dragons managed to maintain a first spot throughout this, right? Yeah, so the way Johnny talks about he's kind of referencing the 84 tournament on how by losing it will like affect the future, but the students clearly do not need this this downplaying because it's just making them more miserable. So there's already that idea of Daniel probably giving up on all of this because of Johnny. Oh, and that definitely got her, which does pay off later on. So yeah, they do feel like at their wits' end. They have one more challenge, but it's definitely going to solidify their fate. So yeah, I think the goons also heard that, but they're just going to continue to cage him. Yeah, and regardless, he does miss the fight, and he just comes at a spare amount of time during the whole tournament process, even if he did come back rather late. So yeah, at least that's not too contrived. Oh, Chris has his apple, just like season 4. And Chris is just trying to if anything, because he's only just teasing about Daniel being missing, but we would think that but yeah, obviously Chris in the end isn't the one who imprisoned Daniel. And it's also quite surprised for her to admit this so soon. And I thought this was going to be a bit more serious, but I think it's obviously you have to have the main characters to have the more serious material. But it's well, yeah, her, while trying to get hold of Kenny as well, it does has its few challenges. But yeah, I still like the direction. She's emitting pretty much immediately, and she does emit more as time goes on, which she's kind of seeing her ways and accepting that maybe she shouldn't have gone to the tournament, despite the effort. Yeah, because she has had less training compared to the others, because a lot of the time she's just been thrown into we just don't see a lot of training compared to the other characters. But she's still a pretty decent fighter though. And yeah, we just get them to bonding a bit more, which is really nice. She almost acts like yet another protege for Johnny. Yeah, because he's like more tender with her, which is does bring out some kind of side of Johnny. And their conversation kind of gets him to to apologize to Daniel, because I think this is almost like yet another low point. He's just like not really wants to admit it, but double checking. Yeah, that's wise. Yeah, and the way he unlocks the cage, it would have been silent. These dogs are loud after all. That is quite impressive to use a lock to unlock the cage, and it does pay off. Oh, head straight into the ballad. Oh, he's already unlocked that cage as well in preparation. That's smart. He's using the dogs because the guy had a crowbar, so I think it is wise to let the dog do it. So at first we thought it was this sensei, but no, or this to be the sensei, but no, it was a goon all the way from the third Karate Kid, which is yet another neat return of yet another character. There are like some techniques to do see, but it's just not answering his questions at all. But after just seeing, because I think Daniel was definitely more on the offensive, but no, more defensive. Sorry, but after seeing, there we go. Yeah, that was a Karate Kid 2 method. The what helped in against Chosen. And it also kind of to show that, if it wasn't for Johnny, Daniel wouldn't have probably won the fight, almost like using Cobra Kai to fight a Cobra Kai. This isn't over. I suppose it kind of ties to Terry, and they do have one more fight, but it's not an awful lot. Even a scene like this I thought was going to happen later, but no, what they kind of do is have the low points at first, and then it gets like better, but then it has like a massive dip at the end. Yeah, and because I think past versions of Robbie would have been quite antagonistic, but I think in this time he's just not wanting to admit that he's not like doing well with the position he's in. oh, okay, that actually pays off later on. Always looking for a brawl. They kind of facilitated the part in the final episode then. More of part 2 anyway. Oh my gosh. And this just seeing on the platform challenge works. Oh gosh, even Axel is just like dodging without the need to move arms. Like that is like proper talent. In one of my martial arts classes, I was once fighting someone who, he was just like simply moving his whole body without the need for his arms and legs. You must have a really good kind of prediction to do that. We've never seen that before. And Zara has her own gesture. Yeah, I think Sam would be a bit too uncomfortable to see what he saw. Even Naxa right there is just kind of quickly look away because he's like, oh, and she's seen what I've been going through. Oh, there you go, it's the former badge wearer, I suppose. He's does well. Oh gosh, that's something they've started to do, to really emphasise the the violence of the situation. That looks like a canine. Like probably like one of your when Tori's like started to get in a position at a point where she kind of intimidates Sarah a bit. The day you get to fight one of her, I suppose, was a wait and see to remind myself. Yeah, Johnny admits it to Daniel, and then he's admitting it for Sam, which kind of helps her out, especially later on. Re-emphasising the support he actually has once he's in the right mindset. So if ever even more emphasis towards Miyagi-Do. Yeah, the way Robbie like tied his band, it's just I think it's like a way to say to Miguel, definitely keeping this, because you would think, is he gonna find his own work, but after seeing Tori doing so well, especially for a team, that too kind of bothers him, because even at the moment, Robbie's doing well, but we kind of recognise that he isn't doing great. He's got distracted once again. There's the captain down. Yeah, and despite cheating the cheating, to get to this position, yeah, Johnny can't be pardoned her, especially when she recognises that it was kind of wrong, and she probably feels like she isn't very like earning of one of the 6 spots. Oh no, she's down. Even Devon's doing rather well. What's your opponents? I almost feel like Devon should have done like a kick instead of sacrificing herself, but I feel like by doing that, it's almost like a more sensible position to get that opponent down. Yeah, and later on, they kind of see, that kind of they, definitely bother each other. But unlike Robbie and Tori, they're, they, it's like more physical, kind of bothering they accidentally do to one another. Yeah, we get to see it's definitely one of my favourite Miguel fights. He just flawlessly fights them both. Yeah, because with the circling method that he learned from Daniel, I feel like he's putting that to good use, and then is everyone getting rather impressed? And he's waiting for the attacks, so he later finds way to counter most of the time anyway. Oh, there you go. Yeah, he's managed to stay down, and he's got them both off. So, oh god, that makes it more painful. God, how did his spine like break? Yeah, he's done Miyagi-Do well. Miyagi-Do well, sorry. And Brother Robbie's in doubt, but Johnny still gives him a look, trying to give some support. I almost feel like they're just raging about the loss. Everyone. Oh yeah, everyone's up there. Yeah, Robbie's just not not the most smiling one. Oh yeah, he'll probably pay for that call, because it's across the country, unless he's working for a certain provider. Could it be a 4G call? Anyway, I really like this moment. So he thought was the Chris is doing, so it gets really antagonistic. But similar to season 3, Sam appears before it gets worse. So there's definitely going to be like some kind of payoff where Daniel will probably do something to Chris in some way. Yeah, I think the lunch part's definitely a fib. Because he doesn't really want to talk about like that kind of attention with the students. He never spoke about it. I think we would definitely admit it, but it's probably not the best time right now because it feels a bit daft to be like, oh, just abandoned all of you to try and find sensei information. Because they don't even. Oh yeah, so Johnny getting this call does complicate things. Thankfully, it doesn't complicate too many things later on, but so it's almost like Daniel's turn handling the students, but I feel like there's going to be quite a lot of time before the next activity because I think Miguel does come back in time. Right, so that's the next episode, so a lot more built up. There's like a small glimmer of hope. Now Miguel's done well for the team, and then see more. Yeah, we got the goon who has the Cobra Kai tattoo. We definitely see more of a bit of an answer there. But just goes to show that something is up. Not to mention, I think Daniel's definitely going to pause his quest until a certain someone points him in some direction. But yeah, also the platform challenge definitely emphasizes some kind of danger and complexity to the tournament. Less than I imagined. And we don't get an awful lot from the rival teams like this. They are definitely formidable and definitely doing well compared to Miyagi-Do. And was even that camera shot where in the scoreboard Cobra Kai and Miyagi-Do are parallel to one another, but Iron Dragon's already on top. And we have like the climax of Miguel, trying, wishing he was the captain instead, and then the team nearly losing, but at least Miguel really helped them out, which does really well for him. Yeah, I was gonna rewatch that Devon conversation again, for why Johnny decided to call Daniel afterwards. But yeah, because Daniel's never been captured in that way before. I needed to cleverly unlock that cage. I guess it just shows how practical he is. And because it just creates questions of how this scheme could have been, especially if Chris hasn't admitted it. Anyways, just rewatched this other scene. But yeah, everything's just building up still rather nicely. And I also like how not bothered Johnny is, like surrounding the buffet. Oh, okay, so Johnny's talking about regret. So I think that kind of gives him some kind of realization. Oh yeah, that's always been his mindset. You know, he may be rough, but he still has their best interest. So Johnny knows the full story about the cheating. Because at part one, despite having like a sense of regret, or because it did feel like quite scheming, but you know, for her to regret, you know, spiking Kenny like from the off, it just goes to show that she still has a strong sense of morality. Um, so yeah, and also with what's happening with Carmen, that too creates a very interesting obstacle for the following episode, and also just seeing, well, just playing with the idea of what if the student goes back and forward, in that manner due to a situation. Because I think you know, if things didn't plan out, then you know Miguel might have not been in the mood to go back. But you know, considering Carmen was fine in the end, he's able to come back. The tickets would have been quite expensive unless they have some kind of discount considering the tournament, but I doubt that's the case unless Daniel and Johnny just help pay each other. Who knows? But yeah, that's all I can think of. So yeah, it is just a rather solid start, and or still a solid start, and just also a bit more of the setting as well. You know, especially with the rougher area we're in. So that's definitely something. But we definitely get to see way more of Barcelona. It's actually quite a nice place considering I've been there. So yeah, we'll stop right there. I'll see you next time. Hello all, welcome to Cobra Kai Season 6, Episode 8. So yeah, I can't really think of an introduction at the moment, so yeah, let's get on with it. We'll go in 3, 2, 1, go. Oops. Let me just make sure that the audio's actually coming from here. Where is it? Okay, yeah, I've got that been up. Anyway, so quite a sad beginning. Well, just more of like an unsure one. Yeah, because we don't know what's going to happen. It's definitely 50-50 at this point. So yeah, this definitely gives Amanda something to do because, you know, from the promotion images that were posted on social media, yeah, you would think she would just be like, wait for the tournament to be watched on TV. Oh. So yeah, we pretty much have our antagonist of the series. Well, sorry, the episode. Yeah, just some nuisance on the plane, and we're trying to want that drink as well. You know, why not? You know, blend the drink. This is probably, oh yeah, of course it will be the following morning. Oh. Oh yeah, but yeah, they didn't even do the kidnapping, so Yeah, did Chris not wonder why? Oh, hang on. Oh, I just forgot the episode audio. Sorry about that. Yeah, sorry, I'm talking now. Yeah, I just had to cut off some episode audio. Yeah, my headphones aren't great. I'll go back to this, although yeah. So regardless, it's just framed as if Grease and Kim were onto the idea, but it looks like Grease and Kim are taking advantage of, they're not being on a great state, and Chosen's, being wise and telling Danny not to do anything. Which, yeah, it is good to have restraint because of because yeah, like when they've been catted Stinger and have confrontational they were with him, yeah, they're not going to yeah, we won't get any answers. But not to mention, we never had a flashback like this. That's a bit. There's a bit of a. Okay, he's going to go and go after them, so that's nice. Although I let them off in the first place, I think it was just to. Well, I think these water students can go out and about anyway, and then how to defend themselves. So yeah, I think Chosen would want them to have fun, but just still want to keep an eye on them. That isn't very nice, I suppose. But yeah, getting hold of Kenny is definitely going to be tricky at this point. Yeah, so they both lost their partners for different reasons, or they're simply not present. Oh yeah, that's another thing that would have been bothering him. Yeah, because it's weird where in a relationship one benefits but the other kind of falters. It can be really unfair, and Sons are in trouble with that as well. Oh, now they're here, things will definitely get complicated. Yeah, this does seem to be where a good majority of the competitors are. I think, like an underage. Oh, Mizelle's got a bit insecure there. Yeah, I don't think she would be worried about fighting her, but it's just her image getting a bit hidden. Yeah, just going straight to the point. Oh, that's a good way to stop the door. Gosh, I'm surprised the brother's not around. I wonder where he is. Oh yeah, this is the moment where he's like, "Why is it curving and not going straight?" But of course, it's how to Johnny's not very yeah, like he's definitely not because later on he does get more like emotional and admits the kind of feeling feelings he truly has, but he doesn't want to show them off, and so that kind of bothers Miguel. And from how Johnny just handled it, yeah, Miguel definitely would want his own space, yeah, because he's but some people are like, what was he doing? Yeah, this is the first time they've interacted, I think. Oh no, they have before in season 5, but they do get a bit more involved with one another, I suppose. Okay, at least he has some idea for what to do. Oh, okay, security guards do that. Okay. Yeah, they can still watch around. And then she's talking about how being an influencer aids her, or sister rather. Or yeah, because I think she was just partially being nice, despite talking about her status. But yeah, Doris just definitely doesn't want to have anything to do with her. And I think she's one of the fighters as well, isn't she? Because there was like a little payoff in the 10th episode. I do really like that version as well, where they're like, "Oh no, we're both taken," but Demetrius like, "No, I'm fine." Yeah, gave in to the temptation. Hopefully, he'll be wise enough to admit it. He might have, but yeah, then it leads to a couple of things along the way. Yeah, because they have been getting on, but definitely not to that degree. Yeah, because even though like trying to figure out like character dynamics between a couple of people, there's like bits and bobs, such as um, anyway, sorry. As I was saying, um, sorry, nearly, isn't it? She's very good at confrontating. Yeah, she's very good at that. But yeah, Anthony's not wrong. Or Anthony, as British people would say. He's been offered a dog. Yeah, I think it probably would have helped me. Yeah, I like pointers, they're my favourite dogs. For a second, I thought they were like airplane headphones, but no, I think he probably has his own set. Oh yeah, so yeah, as I was saying, so yeah, like there are just like tidbits of Tori, and Quan, coming up with some strategy and then showing them getting on a bit, but by Quan to tease Robbie in that manner as well. That's like that seems to do enough despite the amount of time. I do like that, the taxi car design, that was pretty cool. Oh, she must have some good ears. Yeah, they probably drank a bit too much. Oh, yeah, she was he was about to have a hand on her. And then, oh, they managed to say it simultaneously. And that's definitely the first hint of um, yeah, yep, she knows nothing about it. But yeah, he's not getting budged by it. Oh yeah, now that is a possibility. Yeah, that makes a bit unsure. He's on a scooter. What a funny transition. Um, yeah, I like the way how they were just like trying to compete with who can be the more friendly one. Yeah, why is she wandering on her own as well? That's although it's an open space, so you can see anyone a mile off. Kata. We can see as he oh my gosh. Yeah, he trains nearly constantly, and being told not to be, chat with other opponents. This is him getting trained like to the extreme almost, which does actually match with Terry's ideology, even if it is not him being taught. But it's almost as if Terry and Wolf have something in common. Yeah, because he may be like another opponent to our protagonist, but for him and Sam to have a tad more going on, to have a pretty decent chat and that, and then encounter and Cobra Kai later on. Oh, I do like this music. It reminds me of the songs I end up encountering whilst on holiday. Alvaro Solia is one example. Is that a normal phone call? And then he accidentally reveals Dimitri. Oh, oops. No, she's gone. Yeah, that definitely. Yeah, I have no idea what's going to happen with Dimitri and her now. And having another couple like in between Tori and Robbie, yeah, it does seem to add more to their feeling of separation. Like, my God, I missed last word, but that's pretty good. If only we could see that phone call, but we can definitely imagine it'll probably be quick and rough. Oh, Yeah, and he sadly lets that get to him, as we'll see later on. Yeah, and that being part of it. Yeah, because I bet Zara's like kind of aware of. Oh yeah, she is. So she would want. Yeah, so she is just taking advantage of robbery almost. Yeah. Who knows what Anthony will be like in the other 5 episodes, but um, mine's just always like really fed up, and who knows what she'll be like in the next 5 episodes. After what happens. But to separate two fighting people as well, that's quite a feat. I almost want to say that she might have said that first, but I think when any situation gets serious, that's where you will need to, go into the more specifics. Which is normal. And not to mention, I'm surprised. Although, Anthony doesn't really. He's not the kind of person who would be like desperate to go to the tournament. Like, granted, his karate has gone, pretty good so far, but he seems to be all right with the idea of Kenny going. But Kenny is a bit more experienced. Oh, he stole the woman's hat. I wonder where he got the hat from. That was a bold move. Yeah, it's been some time, so yeah, good for Johnny to go back to him. Yeah, because stories like these, like with all these subplots going on, and with the protagonist only being in this one, yeah, I think in some moments, would be quite not impossible, to make an episode of just a plane journey, just featuring the protagonist on board alongside another main character, I suppose. But I think that's where like multiple storylines kind of have their benefit. There's events that can still happen in between. Yeah, like for instance, if this story was like extra small, for instance, then I guess it could go like switch between like the heroes and the villains almost. But from the stage we're at, we just witnessing the whole heap of people going through events and that. Oh wow, what I've been reading at the same time. Yeah, the subtitles. Yeah, Miguel's really touched by Johnny's words there. Yeah, because one of my favorite moments is where Johnny and Miguel chat after, during season 4, before the melon thing, the tornado kick practice before that. It looks like he's had one too many. But yeah, you would think like Johnny is like the one to strike, but we had a look from Miguel earlier. So as you'll see later, Miguel still has strikes, and it's rather satisfying. And Johnny's trying to be calm as well, which is pretty good. Ooh, well, he did try for a punch first. It looks like everyone else was like fed up with him as well. Oh wow, he's been all over. Is that for tournaments or in general? And I see he's probably like part of the family. He travels a lot. I guess highways possible. Although when the Sakataka was like real its location, does that mean he's been to multiple Sakatakas? No, because Wolf is only just started training others again pretty quickly as well. Actually, I wondered if Axel has either been trained very efficiently, very suddenly, or he's probably an established fighter only for Wolf to train him. I kind of wonder which way around it is. I can see either of them being possible. and also seeing what he could be like in the next 5 episodes. I'm really curious about that, by the way. Anyway, we'll hold that thought because the Cobra Kai Light just found them. I don't really know how and why. I do like that detail. That enough is just to make them attack, just a simple clench fist. And also the way Axel just took that kick as well, like, oh my god, look at the way he stands. And that kind of sets some kind of rivalry between them. This is their second encounter. It is, yeah. And they had sirens as well, yeah. Because, as many people pointed out, why don't the police show up during these fights? And now it is starting to become more acknowledged. Like, granted, the sirens wouldn't be for them, but it just, like, alarmed them to, stop fighting, both sides, in fact. And because of how intense Axel's training is, you don't know if he's ever... even if Wolf is racing, there could have been other events going on. Like, I wonder if this was like the first time he's felt like this with anyone. Like, that's a thought I've had, unless it's like those kind of feelings coming back, because you don't know. And poor Devon's just in the middle of all of this. She really know what to do. I think this is almost like their, with the binary brothers, you could say like their breaking point, but they'll definitely get better later on, thanks to a right cool moment later on. It's another time he's the middle finger again. And even all of that is enough to give Devon way more realisation for what to do. Not to mention, there did seem to be a bit of a... Europe and the UK is only like an hour difference. Yeah, with whose night earlier? I think it's the European countries, I think. Yeah, Amanda hasn't interacted with a lot of students, but I think because, it's more involved with an Anthony, it's quite nice for her to interact with someone else, alongside Tori, and of course there's Sam and and Robbie as well. That's true. Have they been sitting around all this time? Unless they just come back later on. No, I think they do come back because Anthony does manage to purchase some items. Yeah, even Kenny right there, he's kind of into the idea of being a champion, but yeah, that does kind of get expanded upon later on. Yeah, what Anthony does right there, because he's not willing to make a fib, but he's even going to do something, which yeah, what he does later on is quite a bold move. It'll be better if he records himself as well. Not to mention, oh, he does tell him to wait, but he just proceeds anyway. How do they know each other's numbers? Could it be like a cry to group chat at one point? But now he has the answer. I think in between he kind of could have checked what Anthony's doing, but not to mention because of what Kenny already kind of thinks of her previously. Yeah, it's hardly any bad blood, but at least it's something that's resolved. Yeah, Kenny does not have the time to explain what just happened or who was actually responsible. Hawk. can't have enough to satisfy him. Oh yeah, all of them will be back, so they. Well, did they know they're back at the apartment? They're like. That's a burn. So yeah, they're not when wanted to talk about, their own secrets. Because in season 5 there was like some kind of like quite a harsh rivalry, but now it just gets a bit more laid over time. Not wanting to share secrets and figuring out if they are like truly enemies or not. Even right now, they just it's not a serious fight, and then it leads to what was that? Oh wait, did this guy arrest the dude? Well, if he was being disturbing, then I think he can get into trouble like that. Oh yeah, she did ask them to wait, but they really can't wait. Yeah, I don't think she knew the answer, but I bet she doesn't want to say anything incorrect. Gosh, like it's quite. I think this is definitely like, even though she's okay, I think if their reaction probably would have been a lot worse if they actually knew what if if she actually died from the blood loss. I think their reaction would have been a lot worse, and they wouldn't be like in the mood to go back to the tournament. But they made it all this way, knowing that she's fine. So yeah, gosh, yeah. Even with no Robbie in the picture, there's just like a really solid family. Yeah, it is nice of oh yeah, that's why they were like they were surprised that Colin wants them to get going. Because yeah, like I can see them having some time before she actually gives birth. Although I don't know what stage she's at. Although it's that means season 5 to 6 is like less. Yeah, it would have been less than a year, of course, because the process is 9 months. So middle to late stage, I reckon. Yeah, they're smiling a bit now. So yeah, they're going to start making the way. That must be more expensive. How did you notice that? They must have sat down recently. But where did they sleep? Oh, okay. So they must have gone to a hotel and then just done that on the beach just now in front of everyone. Yeah. This does, complicate. Oh, he found him. Yeah, she's legitimate. Because alongside, their activities, I suppose, I think they have, bonded quite decently, even when, Kim actually gets hurt by, what Chosen says later on. It does kind of create a bit of a mix. I think that's a bit too far because even though they agree not to explain what happens, but to completely, well, I think it's just what's referred to as, which confuses Kim, being like why you use that word. I'm gonna rewind that as well. I felt like I missed some things, for why they were all moving there. So seeing them two being involved, that's already kind of a surprise. But just that he's behind it as well. Because I heard, he was coming back, but he's here now in 8 episodes in the season. I'm not sure if you're allowed to smoke indoors, unless that's just a UK thing, with the ban in 2006 to not smoke indoors. Alright, so just going to go back to a couple of scenes. So let's just go back to the first one, or the previous one. Okay, so Chosen, states the goon. I think Kim looks better with all of her hair down like that. I like a ponytail, it's an iconic look, but yeah, with all of her hair down there, she just really nice. Anyway, sorry, so I was just saying that while I was waiting. Yeah, Grease is wondering what's all this gathering, and Kim's involving Grease in. Yeah, Grease is just like, wondering what's going on, but he's just trying to almost, wondering what's happening. So they're gonna wonder. Grease is like, wondering about what's all of these. Although he's almost as surprised as everyone. Alright, so the other thing I wanted to rewatch is that chat between Grease and Kim earlier. So yeah, it's definitely. So yeah, definitely got an answer that it was just all Terry's doing, because even the way Wolf looked later on. It wasn't just look of, haha, yes, it was me who did it all along. If anything, he's probably just in the dark as everyone, because he doesn't really have a grudge with the Miyagi lot. Well, he probably just knows that Terry's just against him. Yeah, because I think if Wolf was like told immensely, then I feel like Wolf would have been a bit more against the senseis, especially with how Wolf and Johnny interact with one another. Oh, that's an interesting line. Oh, so are they just talking about? I think the rules. So they're just chatting about. The students going out and about. That's what Grease means by receiving the battles. Ah, okay. All right then. But yeah. So yeah, the first 2 episodes they do show off a lot, and there's a bit more build up, and yeah, it does act like a proper good turning point. Yeah, because the tournament fighting isn't anywhere to be seen in this episode. So yeah, things have took a bit of a breather, which kind of makes sense because we have had a lot of fighting in the previous episodes. Sorry. Oh yeah, I've been watching at speed 1 and on the Netflix episode for once. So yeah, just want to clarify that. And so yeah, in this episode, Carmen has her what's happened to her that made Johnny and Miguel leave and almost leave permanently, but looks like they're going back knowing that Carmen will be fine. Kenny's coming along regardless. So yeah, that is like a nice addition to the turning point. At least it looks like Kenny and Devon agree to swap positions later on. And Terry being behind that kidnapping all that time, that is a cool reveal. That does get more context later on. And then Chosen and Kim, that kind of complicates the rivalry. And I think this is probably one of the funnier episodes in season 6. I reckon season 6, I reckon as well. And yeah, Chosen's a bit more awake and involved, and even he does have like his irrational moments, especially when he, with, the resident he was taken down alongside him, taking down her own. But yeah, trying to keep out for everyone, it's nice for him to do. And to have the flashback of Justin being like, oh yeah, they'll be fine, but then you just have that flashback of Hawk being like, oh, can we go out and about? But yeah, Dimitri to suffer a breakup, and yeah, that kind of spoils between Dimitri and Hawk, and then Devon's admitted to what she's done, so, and excellence, Sam as well. Yeah, sorry, I'm just listing what's happening, aren't I? But there's just a lot of these events that just add a bit more, to the story. We got, I think one of the main themes is just like teams intertwining. That seems to be one part of the theme. Even Dimitri in Dance with the Girl, who might have been another opponent, even that could be counted as crossing over of some kind, because you would think that these teams like stick to their own, but do you have others, getting on with other teams or adding more to the rivalry, especially with Robbie getting a bit more annoyed with Quan and Zara going for Robbie as well. So yeah, so there is definitely some kind of pattern to be found in this episode, and we get some about some Barcelona exploring, which is really neat, because I've been there, but I definitely don't recognise a lot of these places. I've mainly been around the route that goes to the massive cathedral, and then there was that green area that has green parrots in. But yeah, I think a lot of it was just the streets with some nice buildings ingress in between, because it was from a cruise holiday of mine, so it would have gone from the docks and then through there, something like that. Yeah, I was thinking of making like my travel videos. Well, I haven't made any yet, but I could make them public. That could be a cool idea for the future, but I want to do all sorts first. So yeah, just a whole heap of steps. I think the twist is probably my favourite part, knowing that Terry's back, it's pretty cool. And he doesn't have the most amount of presence, but at least answers a lot of questions, and still puts his manipulation to use, and we'll find out what's happened to him, which, well, I'm more talking about the following episode, but yeah, these little bits count. And yeah, just answers for the kidnapping of Daniel as well, because it kind of felt like a partial random event, almost as if Daniel had that realization that he won't really get the answers, but he's got some now. So yeah, I really like this little bit turning having way more context and purpose. And oh yeah, we even seen Tori being more intimidated and annoyed by others as well, like that. Adds something, especially whenever Tori gets fighting again. She's become like a bit of a fan favourite. And yeah, just also really nice to see Carmen with the brothers again. Just yeah, it was. I think it's just already like one of the more sentimental moments. Knowing that Carmen's fine, and she tells them to go back to Barcelona. Yeah, it's just really nice. So yeah, and also cool to see Kenny again, because in my previous recording I was just like wondering, what's going to happen with him, but he's back, and yeah, I'm really pleased to see him, because yeah, I think that would have been like an awful ending for his character if it was just left there in episode 4 of season 6, but no, he's back, and he's just really cool. Alright, I think that's all I can say for this one. So yeah, just a nice break of pace, a lot of intertwining, and some really good turning points. Yeah, a very good midpoint. So yeah, I'll end right there. Yeah, see you all later. Hello, this is the commentary for Cobra Kai Season 6, Episode 9, which is, I want to say it's probably my favourite episode of Season 6. I might be wrong, I'll just have to look at my episode ranking again, which will come up after this, but yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to watching this again. And I think this will be just reading subtitles because my headphones couldn't work, so I'll be okay. And I've got a drink as well, I'll try and be quiet with it. Anyway, let's hop right in 3, 2, 1, go. So first, I really like the introduction. So it said 3 months earlier, which so yeah. So essentially, Wolf must have trained all of his students in that short amount of time, which I can see being possible. And then we'll see what position Wolf and Terry have been in. Yeah, because right there he's in a cage fight for quite some time. I wonder when he lost the dojo. And not to mention later on, apparently the case was dropped because Ray nor Bert could say anything in support of it. And nothing credible to work with. Yeah, but yeah, look how haggard he is, because he does make himself stressfully smart for all the Sakataka later on. So I wonder if he's made himself look like that because to hide himself more so. Yeah, although he's in another country. Yeah, maybe it is just being as simple as being um, but yeah, just like simply representative of what his current state of mind is. But apparently he's lost a lot of money, so that's another way to explore the character. You know, what would he look like with the He's very interested to see what Wolf is like. It looks like he's probably been watching him for quite some time. That is quite an impressive kick. That was like a good couple of steps. It does look like it's like hit an artery of something. Offshore accounts. So that's like enough of a build up. No, sorry, just enough income to keep him going. So to move some band as well, that expands the world building. Although, is that slow karate or another type of martial art altogether? Because that's something I've thought about, because Zakataikai might not just be karate, it might just be every other martial art. But you yeah, Terry just simply like lost the money from what happened, but you know, looks like Wolf has had a lot of bed with the wrong people. Oh, so he must have gone into other deals or something. And Terry still has enough to pay his debts. That's a lot. Has an automatic birth. Oh, so was he already going in, or did Terry still book a slot for them? Like an additional slot. I guess Sakataka doesn't have a limit on teams. And it's also interesting as well because he once mentioned about carrying over the legacy of Kim, which his sensei, and I guess he still wants to do that because he's never been too bothered about his own legacy, but he seems to be aware that that image he can show off to the public, he can no longer do that. But it's almost as if he can pass the legacy on to Wolf in some way. Also, that's quite an interesting flashback. He's yeah, just someone who has only had like second screen time that has come about, so that is quite impressive. There was like a gold item next to his dish. I wonder what that would be. I think the shot is mainly just to show him placing the cigar, you know, just so that he's placing it safely, I suppose. Not to mention, I don't think he's wearing anything else. Well, he is now. Oh, he was thinking of using it then. Okay, it looks like Greece is willing to go to prison just to take revenge. Like that just become a brand new goal to him. But I think it's like the soldier status he has. It does give him a lot of leverage, which we knew from season 3. Anyway, this is where everyone's been told about Silver's return, and Johnny would have been updated about how Terry is, tied with the Iron Dragons as well. Okay, that's slightly blunt shading, but about how the Sakataka seems to allow Grease and Terry to come by. Oh, that's really nice for him to say. I go back to the what do I just say the line? Even Daniel doesn't know what to make of it. But yeah, really nice to acknowledge those two things. Yeah, so they seem to will really get on, and it's like the first step of the rest of the team get on as well. And then I'm not sure if they really chatted to each other before, but they do get on. Even Kenny at first is just really quite putting on like serious face, but he does lighten up quite. He lights up a bit. And Dimitri's like, Dimitri does have interesting idea for Kenny, so it just shows that these kids can think smartly, but obviously with Kenny and Terry they're not connected at all. Yeah, it does generate the question of what Kenny would have done, and I reckon he would just stood there and take hits, to spoil the team on purpose. I guess that's one way it could have acted like a mole if that was the case, but it isn't. Oh, the number of teams have reduced, and the ones we've seen, I've only seen snippets of them all. Like for instance, the Dublin Thunder team we don't see in that roster at the moment, but they're just around to watch. Even the lead was like, the who's currently chatting. Him. Sorry. Yeah, so saying, if you lost, then you just be part of the audience watching. But yeah, right here is explaining the rules of this new game, which is quite easy to understand. And thanks to watching these oddities in action, not to mention Tori's performance is faltering a tad. But yeah, you get to see what the results are like. How the game works out, because an interesting rule is that Ixie can seem to kick hands away if they're trying to tag, so that's an interesting detail. And there's no limits on the tagging. I like that teasing from Zara as well. she would be able to do that rather quickly. I think something like that would throw off her opponent. My gosh, that was fast. Yeah, a lot of like from season one, there's all sorts of dojos and fighters that have their unique style. Some use different spins, and then you have the eye dragons that are quite hard hitting, and then this this current new Cobra Kai is rather quick and airborne and athletic. Yeah. And because none of that were the prior Cobra Kais and the Miyagi-Dos, they never really flip. If anything, Kenny does a roll, which is kind of neat. Yeah, so this yellow team, they were like second place at one point in this part 2. And then looks like Dumichi hasn't really moved on, so he's just thinking he can handle it. Thinking about he's made up of a lot of Miyagi-Do. He hasn't had a lot of Cobra Kai practice. So yeah, no breaks. So it's just seeing how many times you can take down an opponent while still swapping. So yeah, this is a very easy game. Very easy game to understand the rules of. But earlier, Dimitri and Hulk still continue to distract each other. Oh, Sundon did well then. Hitting the leg as it swings, what a painful move. And yeah, there are many times where oh yeah, looked at Terry thinking what to do. I suppose your hand was on show. Oh no. Thankfully this is the last time Robbie gets distracted, and one of the least times. There he goes, his hand is sadly kicked away. Not to mention Miguel helps amp up Robbie later on, although what got him to that stage, I suppose we'll wait and see. And I think by tagging Kenny, it would have thrown the opponent off balance and would have saved his own energy as well. Yeah, and he started taking more responsibility as well. He's really losing it. And there was also a prior hint of Axel's jealousy, so it's one hint, and now this is the second hint. So no wonder Miguel's unsure, because you could have seen it as being as like intimidation towards other teams. After all, Miguel did well earlier with the platform task. Increases already. Like, no. They both have some idea what they come up with is actually quite clever. And it could have worked in the long run if it wasn't for Kim's idea to to ask him to bring the blade back. Yeah, so that's small things that's made him perform even less. Oh, so yeah, Miguel, she's asking what's been going on. Now he's admitting that he shouldn't be a captain. He does use that B word a lot of times, but it is like kind of acknowledged. He's almost like a secondary Johnny. Yeah, because you like wonder at first, how would Robbie be any kind of leader, but Miguel does point out, few things like, Robbie's choice to get hold of Kenny and, yeah. And yeah, from and how enduring this speech is, it does, I can see how Robbie would feel better from this. Yeah, it's rather nice, and it helps Miguel have like more of a role as well. And then like more of his defined role. He's a very a supportive person. All day work hard. Yeah, that's a decent message compared to what other influencers say nowadays. I feel like Zara shouldn't have involved Tori because of what is said here. And yeah, that sadly affects Zara quite a bit. Not to mention, like Kim is and was intimidating. But I feel like we do see like a softer side to her because of what happened with Josie, so that there's like other sides to her. And not to mention the lock technique from the cage with Daniel that helped them unlock a locker, which did that run on padlocks as well, or was it similar enough? I wonder what it would have been. Probably have other tools like nail scissors or something. That was a good punch. I really like Silver's reaction because he's just like a bit caught off guard because earlier he was just giving like a light threat and now he's just been punched. Mr. Braun, oh okay, so that's his name. Yeah, I've got so many things going on, like I do struggle to fit like everything in my memory. I'm surprised I remember the three main people of Iron Dragons. Yeah, it's a smart move as well. If they're multiple foes, why not get them against one another? Oh, okay, so I think that's my theory. Maybe they did unlock the locker through other means. But yeah, I think Josen's implying that, oh, yep, she's got what's happened. Just after watching all of that. And Yoon, so that's his name. Okay. Yeah, Kim is definitely yeah, like Kim is like very like never really been too into the idea of of Tori joining the team. But yeah, also like Josen implied earlier that um, that this whole eventing situation also like hardened Daniel or something. Like he's getting distracted, just like and I think they're seeing what's happening with the Tory. I think that probably would have got him thinking, I can't, feeling like she's doing at the moment. So it's both what I do almost like struggle to keep track of is that in round Sonic, for instance, it's both winning teams beating their teams and then they go against one another. But after Miyagi and Cobra Kai lose, despite being two losing teams, they still match. But I think it is just to try and get to top four, which is said later on. So it's narrowed down the numbers a bit. Anyway, I really like this scene because the way it's framed, it feels like that Kenny who was like new to all of this. He has like that kind of framing in the way he looks, but now he does seem a bit more upright and a bit more honest, less afraid. But yeah, he was like one of Terry's main proteges, and Terry nearly gets to him by stating, how he could join his team. And whilst Kelly did like the idea of being a world champion, I think he's smart enough to know that that isn't the way, because after all, Terry is the guy who failed him. He cheated. Tori's win. So yeah, Kenny's not going to go back to that. Like, it's tempting because where they're all at, but at least the Miyagi-Dos there come from a more honest place. Oh yeah, even that. Yeah, even if Kenny was talking to Silver, could have mean anything. I think maybe they should have suggested that, or maybe Kenny was approached, and maybe they could have asked about it. Anyway, so thanks to Miguel's support being one of the primary motivators, yeah, Robbie's doing really well. There you go, great success now. Everyone's like, oh no, that's why he's captain. Yeah, Kenny's closer. Even this episode has like a lot of low moments where a line quickly goes into the head of someone, and like time like almost pauses. Dimitri is like very worried, but yeah, he even has that moment. But yeah, Kenny like really earns a spot in the team. Yeah, Terry's like looking at him thinking, oh, what are you going to do? But he's going to make his own choice, and he does incredibly well. Yeah, a rather good swing, and I really like his call move as well. He has probably the quickest hit. Like, look at that, like half a second, and he defeats someone. There you go. He's like earning their place. It just goes to show that mindset is everything. And I think this is right there. It's like an indication that, yeah, that Kenny's not going anywhere. And Terry would find that amusing because, I bet he must be thinking, oh, dude, you're making the wrong choice there. Yeah, I bet that, how would you know about Daniel's Sensei quest? I feel like we need to look back. Yeah, Kreese, with how, Kim probably, well, I know Tori has her own reasons, but, Kreese, isn't as intact, because the way he was like shouting to Tori, kind of like that presence, and I think that would be intentional writing wise, because of how distracted he would be with the missing weapon and hitting Terry earlier, and Terry just coming back in general. That's enough to buff him off as well. So it's almost as if the entire premise has been flipped. Despite what happens in the following episode, because of course in the following episode they don't really get to fight one another again. So unless we'll see what the final 5 episodes are like, but And this does seem to be framed as a final time where they get to fight as a team and, fight Cobra Kai once more, one of their oldest primary foes. Yeah, honestly, I really don't know what the last 5 episodes are going to look like, because it's either going to be more the Sekai Taikai despite what's happened, or it's going to be quite rounding up, or oh gosh, I really don't know, because that the first 5 is like the warm up, then they're actually there, but the final 5, I just feel like the tournament won't be as prominent as in here. But yeah, I guess we'll wait and see. Anyway, we were missing this really nice moment. Yeah, they kind of forgive each other. Hang on, sorry. Sorry, what's my drink? Yeah, look how far they've come. Yeah, one of the oldest friendships in the whole series. Yeah, just some nerdy kids, and now they're some of the best karate fighters. Yeah, it's definitely like one of the best moments in one of season 6, if not like the whole season. Just seeing how far they've come. They're really like a really cool team. Yeah, even Kenny already feels like a part of a team, and just is already like natural. Doozy. I never heard of that speech before. But yeah, it's nice for the senseis to walk in and see that the kids are finding their own inner strength. Yeah, they're just so full of confidence. It's great. You kind of wish it was already like that at first, but sometimes you just can't help what the events look like. Alright, so yes, hopefully they'll make it to the next round. Well, no, of course they will. And Quan already has that smirk and he has like no hesitation at all. He's going to go full on, because compared to when young Johnny was just falters a tad in the the first Karate Kid film, compared that to Quan, he's just already full of confidence and already in league. There's no distractions, nothing getting in his way, and I think that's also makes him a tricky opponent. Because if anything, he's causing some of the problems, especially between Tori and Robbie. I feel like in that moment and some of the following moments, Kim kind of uses more personal touches because, sorry about that. Yeah, that was just bits on my bed. It is the headphone lever when I was just trying to plug the headphones in. Obviously, they weren't working well. But yeah, because Kim normally talks in a very philosophical kind of manner, but this time she uses like actual real life experiences that they kind of bond a tad, especially in the following episode as well. Just almost like revealing like a softer side to her, which is quite nice. It expands Kim more. Anyway, yeah, so Tori seems really keen to fight Robbie. And yeah, Robbie's definitely more defensive. Yeah, he's managed to block that. Yep, San says she won't hesitate. We haven't really seen an awful lot of him, but not gonna lie, he does have some of my favourite moments in this episode. We'll get to what is my favourite line from him. Ooh, San did well then. Yeah, I'm surprised, Quan tricking him, didn't distract him more, but I think with the confidence he has already, he kind of converts that into anger, which he uses against Quan and so effectively. Yeah. Oh, look at that stare. Honestly, like Robbie could simply be one of my favourite characters because of this episode alone. he, just, he did like a what's it called, a flip flop challenge? No, a floppy fish challenge. You know, where you just like wiggle around on the floor. It's like a type of challenge apparently. I just remember bits and bobs of it in college, and one of my college mates was trying to do a demonstration. Yeah, one of us kind of doing that. Oh yeah, and this is a really cool moment. Yeah, because they really mix it up by. I mean, didn't really do much. But yeah, like the constant tagging and the swapping and the energies, yeah, like really keeping up. And somehow Chosen's been up to date on what the Barney brothers are, so it's nice for him to be more familiar with the other students. Yeah, and they are impressed. There you go, kicking a tag away. And Kenny goes to Hawk. You know, they used to be kind of foes in the fifth season, but yeah, now they work together. Number two, so he already sees as Miguel as like a secondary captain. Yeah, God, the way Quan fights, he's like so like extremely flexible. All right, here we go. Oh, look at him. After all, he used to be someone in the streets. You know, why not use that intimidation against others? Oh, and he does like free air kicks, and then now this move right here, Quan is like, you know, he's quite in, you know, quite, you know, caught out, you know, because definitely, you know, Robbie's like really full on, he's not distracted, and Con seems to be the kind of guy who really likes a challenge. But as we later find out, he really doesn't like losing either. Like it really affects him, especially what we see of him in the following episode. Yeah, because Quan, like from the limited amount of screen time, you know, they still give him enough time to make him an obstacle, a lot of personality, how he affects other characters, and how he affects other events as well. Yeah, he's like an extremely cool addition to the team. Of the cast of characters, as I meant to say. Sorry. Yeah, as some of the rules are quite flexible. You know, to be able to pull hair like that. Not to mention, surprised Quan didn't try and go for any of her attacks whilst he was in that position, but it just depends how you respond to your hair being pulled, I suppose. Oh wow, like even those blocks at a point where he's Quan is like getting blocked, but it's really throwing him. I also like the moment earlier when Tori like helps keep Robbie in the position. You know, it's like a hint that they're gonna they kind of got each other's back. You know, they kind of help clear the air despite a slightly heated conversation. Oh, look at that air shot. Yeah, they were both in a weird diagonal angle, but yeah, they won. Oh, it's just so good. And they're both are just quite disappointed. Well, Kim looks more angry, and Chris is quite disappointed. You know, he's gonna come back to Korea being like, "Sensei, I'm sorry." But Miyagi, has a legacy that's way more worth continuing, considering what he's achieved and the life lessons he's passed on and Daniel, etc. Oh my God, Cole must have been really hit hard. And a really nice line as well. There could have been like, "Ha, wrong team," but no. Mission Tori was about. Imagine if Tori did, stick with that team. I think. Well, in actuality, I think they would have functioned a lot more better. If anything, it would just been Hawk and Dimitri that need to get the act together, and they would just be like kept aside. And Johnny squeezes in the word to get Crease down. because yeah, like Greece would have because despite the remaining teams, Miyagi, Iron Dragons, etc., Cobra Kai's at least out the way, or as they thought they would. How did Derry know about the investigation? Oh, was there so did Wolf? No, Wolf wasn't around the chat because Daniel was shown to be curious of his, of Miyagi, taking part, and he was telling the others about it, but there wasn't really like any moles around to listen to information and then to pass it on. Not that I can remember. Yeah, that does set up a massive history which is still yet to be unfolded. All of those students are just extremely. Oh yeah, Quan just quickly takes off the band around his head. Yeah, he's already lost that position. Yeah, it's just all dark blue, all in defeat, all looking so mundane. They have a little very little, what to do. But Kreese, now he's got the blade back, he's still going to go after Silver. Yeah, because that's what we definitely infer. Because from there it could have looked like his way of revenge against Miyagi, but I think he does seem to be far more keen to go for Terry, especially from what the following episode is like. Almost as if by getting Terry out of the way means their team loses as well. And he probably would have gone for Miyagi another time, or still would. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Anyway, what a fantastic episode! Like all of the payoffs, etc., is just like really ramping up and paying off, and it's just so cool. Yeah, and that was a normal speed as I put the episode as well. With the other times I've put it as 1.5 or 1.25. Yeah, I just didn't realise that by shortening it that much, it means you have less to say. But oh my, I was glad to watch this at its normal full length. Yeah, it's just the amount that happens. It's not just payoff in this season. It's like come from the beginning. The way they motivate themselves, and like with Miguel and Robbie finally getting on and seeing how that really helped with that victory. And Quan may have been a challenge, but now he's been defeated thanks to Robbie getting all of his motivation back. And yeah, and it still there is the brawl later on, but in terms of like a tournament fight, yeah, I think this is the last time we'll see Miyagi and Cobra Kai have some kind of fight against one another, even if Cobra Kai is made up of a completely different set of people. And I think what I also like is that by keeping the Sakurai Kai's teams in like low numbers and just focus on the main cast, I think that like helps neaten the story a tad, because like the season 1 and 2 tournament we did see other people participate, but in the season 4 for instance it because it was cool to see a variety of fighters and seeing how they adapted, and the tension as the numbers slowly gone down. But yeah, it was just quite tricky to maintain like all of the people on the good side. But in here, it's just like different teams instead, and it's also somewhat kept at a lower level, even if we're introducing new people, but still get enough time to shine. And yeah, I just seem to prefer this tournament format a lot more, which yeah, from the episode alone, yeah, I think it is my favourite tournament. Yeah, the Sakurai did not disappoint. Yeah, it is just extremely tricky because all of these countries will have like all sorts of methods of how they fight one another. But yeah, gosh, yeah, it's just absolutely yeah, it's just me. I just like wowed by it. Yeah, yeah, it could still be like about. Like I said, I'm very interested to see what the final 5 episodes are like. But yeah, this is definitely like peak happiness. Peak happiness. Well, just like a very amazing, positive peak of the story, you could say. Because everyone's finally getting on, the move the problems aside, and Kenny's mixed in well, and and I guess we'll see what Grease is going to be up to with that blade, and just absolutely fantastic. Yeah, the action is just amazing. I've been rewatching these fights in these episodes. I mean, this particular episode quite often, and I don't. There is like a lot of moments and fights I do rewatch, but this one's becoming one of my most rewatched. Though, yeah, it's done so really well. To keep that engagement despite the rewatches, because people and including myself, we would have wanted way more of this show, but it's not possible. But at least we have these moments where we can just rewatch and we can just break down everything. It's I'm just really happy this show exists. So yeah, I guess we'll see you in the next episode. Alright, so we're on the last episode of no, hang on, my mistake. Well, last episode of part 2 anyway. So yeah, let's we'll stick to normal speed. I'll shall I? Actually, no, because a lot of it's action. Let's no, you know what? I need oh, what's that? Sounds like one of my drains on the roof. Anyway, yeah, I think we'll put it as 1.5 as the speed this time. Yeah, just because I'm short on time today again. Yeah, I'll try and save as much as possible despite the enhanced speed of the episode. Anyway, so once you've got that setting done, and then we'll go in 3, 2, 1, go. So yeah, like an old television format. It has like all of these flickers, and then these flickers kind of go, but at least we're in the background. And whilst we're watching right now is a dream, it still gives us some kind of idea for what Sakataka used to look like. Of how everyone's dressed as well. It could be like a much smaller event because it's massive right now, but I reckon Sakataka must have been like a newer concept, a bit like Eurovision. That was like not as populated compared to now. And whoever they casted, yeah, he does generally look like a younger Miyagi. And yeah, and from watching the fighting performance, you can see how a more youthful Miyagi is still an extremely formidable fighter. Because despite the many other people who've been watching, I think everyone would still put him on top because he's never lost a battle. Yeah. And to have in his dream sequence of them two fighting against one another, it is quite an interesting concept. I will say those punches there, they did look a little bit swingy, but other than that, it's not a very good moment. Yeah, but it just goes to show that the whole legacy thing does seem to really bother him. And it's hinted at a couple of times in this episode, despite being the final part of part 2. But we'll see what the final 5 episodes are like. Yeah, it was a different time. Yeah, that I think there was like a lot of a bit more flexibility with the rules, or how far you could get. Yeah, I'm surprised that they're not saying. I guess with like Chris maybe out the way, which Johnny definitely would have been pleased about. Um, um, But yeah, they've still got the Iron Dragons to worry about because they've all been intimidated by them. And not to mention, I like where Axel's just very focused on what's ahead at a point where he doesn't listen to Zara at all. Like, they've never really communicated with one another, but I think they are in their own little bubbles in their own way. You know, Zara and influencing, and Axel trying to. I think he's just trying to put a cap on his emotions in some way, because I don't think he knows what to think. He still hasn't moved on for what he accidentally did. Yeah, so now them two will be on even more better terms. So yeah, I think all of them will be making their way back. Although Tori must have her own ride of some sort, because you can't really go to great with the others. Yeah. After when I watched this, I thought them like, yeah, they do get to fight again, but when I thought it was going to be like them encountering each other in either hometown or something, but obviously that doesn't become the case. And even if Robbie won then, it's still formidable, you know, it's like a very 50-50 chance. Just really not looking forward to seeing her grandfather. Yeah, will be so disappointed. Yeah, that seems like a wise choice. Yeah, yeah. Until the later events, I bet they wouldn't have seen each other quite some time. And yeah, Grease is like looking back for what Terry did to him. Yeah. And yeah, Grease almost uses his um like he's quite effective with being sneaky so far. Yeah, there's no one about, and yeah, he's being cautious, preparing himself for a strike. But he's not alone. Media team, oh, the press. So yeah, because I reckon that the whole Sakataka has been a live TV thing, because why not? But when they have the final, well, the finals, yeah, we could say, yeah, I bet yeah, Terry's just making sure that the news and that is all together. But that, I think, will definitely pay off. Like, imagine the news about someone dying in one of these tournaments. Yeah, like all of the familiar teams, they're all like wondering who it is. Even Terry was like surprised. But yeah, because at first, that team going and then Cobra Kai coming back, um, yeah, you would think it's just like that, but no, that the team that just been distinguished, they end up coming back in another way. And yeah, this season knows how to subvert expectations extremely effectively. Using they seem to keep track of what we expect, and then um, yeah, and just come up with a whole different set of events. Oh yeah, so they're definitely going to be fighting one another. So I bet that's what the quarterfinals look like. Yeah, I think it's kind of quarter because the finale would be like the last two teams. I wonder what the final task would have been like because that's trying to extinguish four different teams, and yeah, would it just be another captain fight or something that's more complicated? Will that be like the final part to this? In the last 5 episodes, if the Secretary, is able to continue, I bet, I think my prediction is probably them against the Iron Dragons for the very final time. After all, it will have to be one team against one another in the end, because it's just the quarterfinals at this point. So yeah, he's kind of gutted that and that Greece is about, but it's kind of only worrying about well, actually, no, it is worrying about both the Iron Dragons and the Cobra Kai, but for different opponents. Even I think from that dream alone, Daniel was just like questioning if he should continue that whole defense only thing. But but yeah, even Johnny, he's like being like, don't walk out on all of this. Also, well, all of their beliefs. Even Miguel right there, he even has that really cool moment where, despite their senseis bothering them, Miguel just remind them for what they've achieved on their own, which helps them get on a bit more. Yeah, someone's not quite right. Yeah, I think at this point Tori is definitely like the main student for Greece. I really like that moment being like, when are you going to be in the right mindset? Yeah, Greece is like using a similar mindset to to make Robbie fight against Kenny in the way he did in season 4. Yeah, even that alone is a very scary concept. Because if Sam and Tori would have fought one another, I reckon Tori would have to be, more formidable. I also like the way Miguel was just like talking down to them like kids. Um, I think Miguel would have gone for better choices because Miyagi also defeated Kreese without scratch. I felt like you could have gone for better examples, to make them stand out more. Like the mixing of methods, that alone is like quite a feat. Miyagi's never mixed with other people's fighting styles. Even Chosen's dad would have been using extremely similar ways of fighting, even though I don't think they would have ever interacting with one another. But regardless, yeah, I still really like the moment of of Miguel just just sounded like a really cool moment on his own, and getting the senseis to get on again. Because I think this might be their last fallout. It's kind of framed that way because it does seem to be one thing after another, and this time it's a Rocky reference. But yeah, this time it is just moments of the senseis. Oh, even that was like a slightly mirroring shot of the dream sequence, almost as if there's like a hint of another disaster waiting to come. I wonder if we'll get to like other specific details of of why Miyagi's time in the competition resulted in a death. No stoppages. Yeah, so this one, it is just a captain only fight. Their best, their best fighters, and to see who can hit each other the most, essentially, which is like another way of, just like varying each game. Yeah, and they're also focusing on the fights that are more important because we've already seen Sam and Tori fight loads of times already, and despite seeing snippets of it in this, like in this season, it definitely carries less weight intentionally because they are starting to get on. Even at a point where they end up saving one another later on. Yeah, even Quan right now, he seems to move about without much effort. Oh, oh yeah. Mr. What's his face said, a knockout would earn them way more points. Wow, he has done well. Oh, my tablet's lost its charged. I just suddenly realised. Oh yeah, it is. A male and female in each team. Yeah. Yeah, she's saying something quite encouraging. Sorry if I'm mistangled. Sorry, I'm just moving about. At least we can still see snippets of the fight going about. Even Kim for once is like wondering what what Tori is talking about, but yeah, so it's just another theme, being discussed. How much is winning like worthy over everything else. Yeah, I think Quan has had more time to shine. He does have way more effects to the plot after all. You're next, yeah, that's what she says, I think. Yeah. I think a theory I have is that considering how unstoppable, well, I think Zara at least kind of get a hit land on her every now and again, but with Axel, he's extremely untouchable. Because I wonder, what if in part 3, for instance, what if he wins and yet Miyagi and Johnny, etc., still get a lot of credit, especially if, considering who Silver and the Wolf are, even Maxwell being partially responsible for what's happened later, even that could lower his leverage significantly. Also, if Zara can still have lands, have hits landed on her, even the other Iron Dragons, I think Axel just must be a much more experienced fighter. If not, he probably has taken the full force of Wolf's training. Yeah, it's not just about height. Look how he is extremely solid. Oh. Yeah, Robbie's either attacking or defending, and the only thing that's not parallel is the is Robbie landing any hits. Well, it was a very tricky fight for him. For Quan to do that as well, that was quite unfair. Now them two are clashing, and everything's nearing up. Or even the Dublin Thunder, they having that urge to fight, which is set up thanks to rewatch. All the tournament. Did he say all the tournament ... Oh yeah, so they're the two most facilitating lot. Even the yellow team, the sense they was trying to reach for them, but now they're just all starting to fight one another. Yeah, I bet there's a way to try and determine the team their own way, without any order, especially with the host being down. I bet that's what a lot of them wants to do. Yeah, because the Miyagi-Do lot simply want to help and defend. And then Cobra Kai's already getting revenge against Robbie. Yeah, I think Robbie and Megan are on pretty equal lengths. Yeah, because normally in a battle, like for instance in a sword fight in armies, it is a lot more sporadic. But with everyone using very specific fighter techniques, it just makes this very tense in its own way. Yeah, like everyone is just getting beaten that day. Just no one is safe. What I will say is that there's this, which is nice, chosen and came to finally work together. That's extremely nice. And then Kenny and Devon there having some of their own moments. Well, there's the Brazilian team again. Almost has a way of revenge. He's finally up. Yeah, because all of that racket, of course. And even Godo's in the, they're called Panther, yeah. That's the rock band. Unless they do share the same name. Why does this keep happening? Yeah, it shows that kind of frustration that Amanda is having. Because she has been trying to be optimistic, trying to get on with everything, but she's just gonna kind of go back on karate considering what just happened. Yeah, even Wolf is he seems to be almost better than Johnny and Daniel, able to land more hits. Yeah, even watching the Dublin Thunder earlier, it's like a setup from what happens later on. Some kind of revenge against Sam. Well, especially as her team was nearly winning. Let's highlight a couple of problems. So firstly, Cruz should have walked around the area. Oh, but I guess he's trying to shortcut, so I guess that's fine. But I guess he did put the blade on his back to make it more accessible later on. But again, I guess it would have been tight enough. But I guess he should have either stick to the same spot, or he could have made sure to keep checking over time. Nice for the host to punching back. That was so nice. So it feels partially controlled, there's some definite knockouts. And then I'm trying to fight him again. Yeah, I guess it helps slow Daniel down, especially with Terry trying to get out of the way. Oh, so that's a similar way of, kicking away, like the circle task in the previous episode. Or even they're struggling to, 2 against 1. And I think Johnny right there is trying to get like revenge on Kreese, but I think once he sees Kreese being defended by Silver, at least Kreese and Johnny have had their moments, but Terry's just nothing but a nuisance to Johnny. Oh my god, the entirety of Double Thunder. Oh my god, go Kenny. Oh my gosh, and is that yeah, the woman who Dimitri had a moment with Dimitri. I think it is. Maybe it is someone else actually. But for them to get on, it just adds a bit more layers to the fight. Oh no. And yeah, I think this is him pretty much guessing for when he could have lost it. But now there's a blade all over the area. Well, it just looks like a pole at the moment, thankfully, but whoever gets their hands on that is in big trouble. Not waiting. Even Miguel has someone else alongside Axel, the poor lad. Also, we get to see Kreese and Terry fight one another. And once again, Kreese nearly wins, but Terry just has a trick up his sleeve, just like what he did with Chosen. When he was nearly losing to a fist fight, he just goes for the blade. The second one should have been more knocked out. And Zara seems to be a bit insecure about that. That's probably a status going to her head. So Terry knows how to be sneaky as well, that's something. Also, it's like a really lot of really cool payoffs, because unlike the season 2 fight that was trying to show other background people sharing the spotlight, which did make it a bit stuffed, but in here, however, there's like multiple main characters, and there's already, I think I just preferred the setups, and I think because of, I think it's just the more unsureness for what's going to happen, especially with a blade line around. And yeah, and it also includes like everyone really, not just the kids who that did start to nab some of the spotlight in the second season. Oh gosh, even Axel right there just has an interesting moment to see Sam getting attacked, and so obviously it's just uses defense Sam, which is really nice, and not to mention to see them two fight one another. You get to see how Quan's constantly swinging about. Oh gosh, how is Daniel still standing? Yeah, first camera down. Convenient it's this camera, but oh my gosh. Yeah, the blade must have been kicked about loads of times, and yeah, from that feeling of losing, Quan just seems to be reaching his limits. Yeah, and Daniel is aware of the blade as well, from the locker situation. Not to mention later on, but yeah, right now Johnny managed to have a second round against Silver, and who knows if they get to fight one another again. Pretty Boy. What a nickname, there's Danny Boy and Pretty Boy. What a conversion. And yeah, I think Johnny definitely has more of an advantage thanks to extra Miyagi-Do. Yeah, he would be winning this fight, and he defended Kreese as well. That is quite a bold move. Oh, yeah, you can see how Axel just tipped Quan a tad, like leg-wise, completely missing up with the balance. But that shriek was loud enough to completely stop this. because I think everyone, because not a lot of people would have been screaming like, not like Quan until now. So yeah, I felt like it would have been more gradual, uh, yeah, I think it can be reasonable. Gosh, that is quite a cliffhanger. Because the other cliffhangers I like, it's just like the story potential where it goes, and yeah, we got a lot of very good cliffhangers. Because I like the second one, the third one, and the fourth one the most. But I tell you what, the end of part two, oh my gosh, like the end of part one had its excitement moments as well, but oh my gosh, like who knows where this is going to go? With Terry having the press there as well already there, that's going to do like something. It could potentially, let's see, it could ban the Sakatai. It could ban karate. That could be something, if it's global. Or at least it could have a very negative view on karate, and there's multiple players involved. Like Quan's sensei wouldn't be very pleased about hearing this. Especially as it's Grease's blade, he's not looked after it, and not that we've seen Quan's family, but oh my god, Quan's gone, and gosh, like if they ever get to, they cover something like that, that'll be extremely devastating. But yeah, I think yeah, because I think something about Quan is that even though he continued he has always been an antagonistic force. At the end of the day, he was just a student, just attending the tournament, and fighting was like a real passion too for him. Yeah, he didn't deserve it, not at all. And yeah, part of me is just quite sad for him to go, because it was an accident as well. Axel definitely wouldn't have intended something like that, because he's kind at heart, despite how formidable he is as a fighter. But yeah, Amanda seeing all of this, she will most likely be traumatized, and also cut the feed. This won't just be on TV. This will probably be on social media as well. Like, oh my gosh, this will be the biggest devastating event globally. Yeah, I like how in the Avenger films it's like the end of the multiverse is the worst thing to have happened, but although what's happened here is just one person dying out of this global tournament, like that still feels immensely big. Yeah, because looking back, like sure there has been deaths during fights, like Grease's commander, and there's also been, although that may be a different kind of scenario, but that's like one instance, and but yeah, hardly any. Like Miguel had his accident; he was close to death, but gosh, but yeah, it's just because of how death hardly happens in this series. It is like treated in an extremely heavy manner, because like after the school fight, and how everyone was like talking about it, and there's just like negative effects all across. I feel like that will like happen again, but just almost like on a bigger scale, and you know a lot more effects as well. What if like Axel like didn't want to fight anymore from what he did, and he probably stands up against Wolf or something like that? Could be something. Will the Sakataka even continue? Would the last 5 episodes be back in the valley, trying to absorb what's going on? And, could the Sakataka end up not being the way to help both with Daniel and Johnny's goals, or even, Kreese and Terry for that matter of fact? They'll probably might have to scramble other ways if the Sakataka, didn't do it for them. And yeah, because the Miyagi mystery, because like not every episode has been a bang. Well, there has been episodes better than others and seasons better than one another, and with a lot of people saying that how that the first season's still the best one etc., which I can see why, but my god, it's still, this whole show is still maintained a very consistent thread. Like, sure, we have had new characters, but it still feels like neatened, because in like season 2, for instance, they were given side characters like extra moments that kind of had that overstuffed kind of nature. But in season 6, however, there isn't an awful lot other than Nathaniel and Johnny clashing, the whole captain situation, Miguel and Hawk having to get on. There's Axel and Quan, Axel and Miguel and Sam, and then there's Wolf being the his nuisance, and Terry coming back, and Kreese trying to continue his goal. Like yes, I guess it's big, but like, I think, like I said, just the way the tournament is formatted with these smaller teams, there's something about that which, yeah, why does it feel neat? It's like Infinity War, how it feels less stuff compared to like other films in the Marvel films, I suppose. Yeah, because it is like a lid is like kept on. I think one reason is because like Robbie and I think there's only like Robbie who goes on an arc almost, and even like Anthony and Kenny had to push. So if anything, it'll just be like a massive arc over time across this whole season with these miniature ones happening now. So yeah, I think that's one reason. Yeah, but yeah, it just feels extremely neat still, and yeah. Oh, just like let's just look at what other things happened in the season. Kreese, he's brought the sensei's weapon. His sensei's not going to be pleased. He'll be in trouble for bringing a blade in. Um, and for all of these people, to see someone die in front of them, that is rough. And not to mention, even Dan Daniel being the one to, go up to Quan, and unlike everything else, it almost feels like the Miyagi situation coming back. Like, what happened with Miyagi, that could have been the last fight in this tournament until then, like, very likely. But wow. But yeah, the way this season gone about, yeah, could have had, Robbie would have most likely lost to Axel, and, that meant Terry most likely winning. And I think Sam would have beaten Tori because Tori isn't in a mess mindset. She was hardly hesitant to help out Sam later on. So yeah, there is that to consider. And oh gosh, yeah, who knows what's going to happen, because we've always had a lot of guesses with each cliffhanger, but this one, there's so much mystery after such a massive singular moment. Who knows what's going to happen? I think, not to mention, like, previous cliffhangers have had, like, kind of a lot of cliffhangers into one, but this time it's everyone responded to one singular situation, and that's still, it's going to have a lot of repercussions. But yeah, part two, but yeah, I think it is just, I would prefer to judge season 6 as a whole as opposed to its parts, because I remember people saying, oh, there's 5 episodes of season 6, it's already like the best season. And whilst I would agree, it is extremely neat and and tidy and very, like it's always, it almost feels very climatic already. And um and yeah, like I said, I can agree to part of it, but yeah, I just want to see what the last 5 episodes are like to kind of come to this conclusion. But I think because of how everything is handled, the first season is still definitely on top because of how, because of the much smaller cast. And then, yeah, 1, 3, 4, 5, 2, that, but now 6 is there. I almost want to say it's like better than, uh, 5 had quite an overstuffed cast, and oh gosh, I really don't know. But yeah, I think season 6 is like really nicely rounding up things. Even when they add additions, it's kind of expected with the whole global tournament thing, and it really hints at some interesting ideas. And also not to mention season 6, it still has its references, but to the prior films, but not as much. It seems to work off the show itself almost. So, gosh. But I just really like season 4's theme of the mixing. But I tended to put like 6 up at 3rd place, because like the characters have like the right amount of screen time as well. Oh gosh, yeah, I'm really struggling, because I'm definitely confident that the 4 is the best and 2nd is the weakest, and 5 oh my gosh, I really don't know how to rank these. But in terms of personal preference, I think it might be 4, 5, 6, 1, 3, and 2. That's my subjective ranking. Just because of the kind of moments that appear, and a lot of interesting concepts. So yeah, we've got a lot, some really exciting to go ahead. Yeah, as I'm recording this, it's less than 2 months away, I think. More like a month and 4 days, but still, I'm extremely looking forward to see one of my favourite stories come to a very satisfying conclusion. Yeah, definitely one of the best sequels to a previously established property, despite going from a film to TV kind of version. And yeah, just one of my favourite stories, and an extremely good short TV show. It's just extremely fantastic. Yeah, it's one of the best decisions the showrunners have ever made. So yeah, let's end it right there, and I'll see you all in part 3, where we would have seen the entire lot and see how the final 5 episodes come to an end. Yeah, so yeah, see ya.